Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning to one and all. Welcome back to the continuation of the lesson 2.4, the fall of Troy, page number 41 of your textbook. Keep your textbook open with pencils in your hand so that you can write down the meaning. Whenever I keep saying some word and the meaning, I explain immediately. The fighting went on daily, but the siege did not end. That means the war began, Greece on one side, Troy on the other side. They had to fight war from the dawn to dusk, or you can call it from sunrise to sunset. On the one hand, the Greeks could not take the city, and on the other hand, the Trojans could not force them to sail away. That means the Greek people they fought continuously from sunrise to sunset, or from dawn to dusk. They had come sailing from all the way from Greece to Troy. They had to capture the city of Troy, so they could not enter in at all. And on the other hand, it was the Trojan people who could not force the Greeks to fly away or run away with their ships, so that they could live in a better manner, in a safe and sound way. Every day the Trojans came out of the gates and the Greeks came out of their tents, and the ships and fighting went on. That means it became a daily routine. The Troys opened the gates, only the soldiers, only the warriors, only the people who were in the defense academy for the city of Troy, and the Greek people who had landed themselves on the beach of the Aegean and the Black Sea on the border of Troy. And then they came out of the tents, they started fighting from morn to eve, and yet finally no one succumbed to it in the end of the day, by the time it was sunset. Sometimes there were great battles between the two armies. Sometimes there were single fights between two great heroes. That means the Greece and the Troy, they fought with the complete soldiers all around them, and it was like the whole city of Troy was fighting with the whole country of Greece in that way, with limited soldiers on both sides. On the other way, it was sometimes that the real brave soldiers of Greece and the brave soldiers of Troy were fighting with each other, with two great heroes taking 1-to-1 person in that way. But yet the war continued for 10 long years. Sometimes there were single fights between two great heroes. Sometimes the Trojan had the better of it, and sometimes the Greek. That means sometimes the Trojan won the war during the whole day, sometimes the Greek won the war for the particular day, or between the particular people, between the particular heroes. When it was single-handed people, it was faced one man from Greece, one man from Troy, they used to fight. Either one used to be defeated, and they celebrated their victory either way around. But the war did not come to an end in that particular manner. Sometimes the Trojan had the better of it, and sometimes the Greeks, but still the fighting went on. Even though the war, sometimes the Greek used to win it, sometimes the Troyes used to win it, but finally it was what? That the war, the fighting was yet on a very long basis. Any questions, any queries, any doubts? Call me around the clock. Remember, give me the complete statement, complete sentence in that particular manner, so that I can explain to you the complete meaning in a cultured way. Great heroes on both sides were killed in the course of war. After leading the defense of a city for 9 years, the brave Hector was at last killed by Achilles. Hector, one of the brave soldiers of Troy. Achilles, one of the brave soldiers of Greece. Hector is the name, Achilles is also a name. That means 9 years the war continued, for 9 continuous years, with obviously people from Troy succumbing to death, people from Greece succumbing to death in such a manner. And finally Hector was at last killed, another brave knight of Troy, and he was killed by Achilles, another brave knight of Greece, whom none could resist. Obviously, these two were great warriors, great people, great heroes of their own time. But later on, Achili himself was killed later on by a poisoned arrow that entered his heel, the only part of the body where he could be injured and could be killed and could be wounded in such a manner. So Hector died because of Achili, and Achili was wounded, and Achili could not be killed by any person from Troy, but he was shot by an arrow on the heel of his body part, and he succumbed to that particular wound and he died. Still later, Paris himself, the prince of Troy, was killed also by a poisoned arrow. That means Achili was killed by a poisoned arrow. Paris, the prince of Troy, was also killed by a poisoned arrow. The Troy were tired of being shut up in their city, and the Greeks were longing to see their homes again. That means obviously 9 long years is a very, very lengthy period to stay within the walls of the city of Troy for the people of Troy out there, the Trojan people. And on the other hand, the Greek people who had left their homes, leaving their family, leaving their wife, leaving their children and their parents in that way. So they were also tired, they were feeling homesick, they all wanted to go back home. Finally, but the long war between the Trojans and the Greek were yet on. But still the fighting went on in such a particular manner. And this is the 9 years of lengthy war in such a manner, where we have done up with it in such a way so that there were not much problems. Always it is the Greece or the Trojans who went ahead of it and got the better of it. It was either the Greek got the better of it or the Troy's got the better of it. So this is the complete first part of your Troy, the fall of Troy. Just a revision through it. It was Homer who is known as the father of European poetry, the Iliads and the Odysseys, and it was all carried on by the great writer, the blind poet who sang all the poems and the songs in different cities, in different villages. He was well hospitalized, hospitable in that manner, so that people could learn something. Finally it was written down, and the main part of this lesson, main part of the story is the war between the Greece and the Troy. And the reason behind the war is only one lady named as Helen, the most beautiful women of that time. That is around 2920 years before from today. Earlier, 2920 years from today onwards. That was 900 BCE, before Common Era. The Helen was the wife of the king Melanus, and the lover Paris from the prince of Troy, who eloped, took the lady from Greece and ran away and got married, and they lived a happy life out there. But the main reason was that Greek wanted vengeance. Greek wanted to take revenge with Troy, because it was a pride, it was the main respect, it was honor for the Greece, being the king Melanus of Greece, and his wife had eloped, had run away, had fled away with the prince of Troy named as Paris. There was a long war between them, 10 long years of war, and in the 9th year, obviously it was either way the Greece took it or the Troyes took it. Either way around, the great heroes, national heroes were also well captured, well killed, well murdered, and then Hector was killed by Achili, and Achili was poisoned with a poison arrow, which he was hit on this heel of the body part. And on the other hand, it was Paris who was killed also by a poisoned arrow. And this is the first part of it. If you want to listen to it, you can put it onto your YouTube or You can search it on Google and you can get it, that you will have a good value, a good story. There are pics of it, there are dramas of this particular story out here, and it is in such a particular way that the story has been put onto films also in such a manner. So this is the end of the first part, where Hector was killed, where Achilles was killed, and Paris was killed in this particular war of 9 years. Next part we shall continue in my next lecture. Let's hope to meet you without any doubts. If you have any doubts, any queries, any problems, you are most welcome to chat with me. You can call me around the clock. I shall be available. But remember, whatever you ask me, you tell me the details of the particular lesson, sentence in that particular way. Jazakallah.